Hello and welcome to another Chelsea chat. I didn't do a vlog on the debacle, big word for early in the morning, isn't it, of the Paris Saint-Germain game at home in the Champions League. 8-2 over two legs, Chelsea Football Club. And I hear all sorts of excuses, and as you know, I think everyone has got a right to their own view on anything. And I respect their right to an opinion. But some of the opinions I just can't understand. There are people out there that think Liam Rosenior is doing a good job. They say, well, you know, he's only lost 4 games. But the games he's won are games that really he should have won. The games he's drawn are games that he should have won. And the games he's lost, yeah, most of them have been against top sides, although I'd argue that with Newcastle. But it's the performance as much as anything. He looks like a rabbit in headlights. He's trying to remain calm. He's trying to come across as confident. But he looks like a rabbit in headlights. Yet people still think, yeah, he's the man. Believe in the project. Maybe the nicest bloke on earth. Maybe absolutely lovely. In which case, I've got a mate, Patrick Monaghan, a comedian. We'll give him the job because he's a lovely bloke. He speaks well. I just don't get it. And then some of these players that we've got aren't good enough. They're not good enough for the Premier League. They're certainly not good enough for the Champions League. And whilst we've got a decent first 11 who, when they turn up on their night, if all the planets go in sync, we can beat anyone. But we can't beat a low block. Very rarely. We've got no actual plan to beat that low block, like, say, the Manchester United side of the 90s and early 2000s, where they would use their wingers. Good top-level wingers. Not Garnachios, not Gittins. Top wingers to undo that low block. In fact, forget Manchester United. Chelsea. Remember Duff and Arjen Robben? People like Blackburn. I remember one away game where they played a low block then, and we opened them up. Try coping with talents like Arjen Robben and Duff. And whilst back in the day there weren't so many low blocks played, Pat Nevin, Charlie Cook, skillful wingers. I think Nevin still get a game with us now. Other ways of beating it. Lampard running through the middle, playing over the top of it. None of this backwards, sideways. Direct, high tempo, high pace. A little bit of imagination. But PSG don't even play a low block, do they? We just got outsmarted by a quality class team. And when you think that Luis Enrique, well, some reports say that we turned him down, although I suspect the reports that say he turned us down are more correct. He'd want full autonomy over that side. But can you imagine us with him in charge? A proper manager. But I digress. I'm off into fantasy land with this bunch in charge. Back to the wingers. You know, Arjen Robben, Duff, Hazard. We've got no one like that. Pedro Neto on his day is very, very good. Is he world class? I don't know. Watching that guy from PSG absolutely rip us a new one, I wonder. But I'm not blaming Rosenior. Yes, he does some bizarre things. Some of his substitutions, I think one of these notes is a sorry to the rest of the team. One of these notes he does in the 85th minute when you're losing 8-2. One of them he says, really, really sorry. But it's in his contract that I've got to bring Tosin on at some point. So I'm going to take off anyone who's likely to score and bring Tosin on. When he sets up a side, you know, you play your best 3. Obviously, individual mistakes, as people say, the manager can do nothing about. Now, I don't rate Wesley Fofana at all, but and this is me, not the football manager on the big bucks, just a punter like everyone else. If I had to pick that team, Fofana would have gone in instead of, say, Mamadou Sarr. And I'll tell you why. Pure experience under pressure. And Wesley Fofana gets done, I know he does. Normally, when he makes a mistake, it's because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, or he just can't be asked to run back. Mamadou Sarr hardly played at that level, and he gets put in the side. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand playing a back three instead of a back four. I didn't understand that. But what do I know? I don't get paid the big bucks, as I say. Rosenior, to me, hasn't got a clue. But if you've been sacked by Hull City and your top managerial achievement is taking Strasbourg to 7th in the French league, I don't know how you get the Chelsea job. I honestly don't know how you get a Premier League job. But here he is at Chelsea Football Club, and I don't blame him. If someone offered me the job today, I'd take it. I'd be bloody useless. Even worse than Rosenior? I don't know. At least I'd understand the club more, probably. And, the first thing I'd do? I'd get JT in. For 2 reasons. A, he should be manager instead of me. B, he knows the club. He loves the club. He'll put his face in some of those people in that dressing room who deserve to have John Terry's face stuck in their faces, because they're a shambles, they're a disgrace, and the other night their attitude stank. Yes, I know you're probably down in your boots from the point of view of everything that's gone on, but you don't give up. You're a professional footballer. Some of the people in that crowd have spent probably a quarter of their weekly wage to see that game. Some of those people in that crowd have probably travelled however many miles. There was someone who come across from Ireland to watch it. There was someone who come across from Bulgaria. First Chelsea game. And can you imagine? I was very lucky. My first game was one of Doherty's Diamonds games. Exciting, playing the ball forward, trying to score goals, proper footballers. Didn't fall over, roll around like they were in some sort of Olympic gymnastics event. I was lucky. Nice direct football. Exciting. Even when we lost, and we did lose a few of them, it was, you come out, you were talking, you were thinking how you'd been entertained. You were in the pub, you were either jubilant or depressed because of the score, but you had a smile on your face. You've been entertained by, the sort of Zolas of this world. The effort that people put in, your Dennis Wises. And go back, Kerry Dixon's side. Pat Nevin, Joe McLaughlin back in 83. They didn't roll over. When they got beat, teams had to really, really fight and earn that. Going back to Ozzy's days. Alan Hudson. Even Alan Hudson, who was a beautiful footballer, put a shift in. The other night, they just packed in. I'm glad they weren't in anyone's trench during a war. They would have put the white flag up straight away. It was disgusting. It was humiliating. PSG are a very good side, don't get me wrong. Must be European champions. Do I think they are an exceptional side, like some of them that we've seen? Like some of these European champions, your Real Madrids, your AC Milans going back. Us, when we should have won it in sort of 2006, 2007. Exceptional sides. Sides that went right through their leagues, getting beat once or twice, and probably beating themselves. Players who had pride. Players who were mercenaries, some of them, late in the later years, but knew what it meant to wear a blue shirt. Who didn't want their standards to drop. Even people like Ramirez and Oscar, not the most physical players, put a shift in. I do know what's gone wrong with this club. I can point at the sporting directors, who really, everyone goes on about Winston Bogart ripping the club off. Do you know what? There's 2 people who have ripped this club off even more than Winston Bogart. No, there's quite a few because we've got a board that's doing it as well, just sticking us in debt apparently. And the results, well, you see them, 8-2 in the Champions League. But the sporting directors, how they've got a job, I don't know. The only person that I can think deserves their job less is the Chelsea defensive coach, the Chelsea set play coach. They're the only people I think deserve their job left. But Winstanley and Stewart, absolutely useless. Everyone can see that, apart from the board, who I think it's gone too far now. They know that they've got two absolute duds, two absolute, as they say in Scotland, barn pots, two absolute idiots trying to introduce this project of signing young players and no experienced players for profit. Presumably that's come down from up on high. The club's knackered. And until Clear Lake and BlueCo, whatever you want to call them, until they go, nothing's going to change. And people say, oh, you're spoiled under Abramovich. Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were. But when someone spent billions of pounds, sometimes fraudulently it turns out, but we always knew that, didn't we? When someone spent billions of pounds introducing a winning ethos, introducing success, I don't want to go back to the 80s, the 70s, when we were up and down like a drawers knickers, relegated one year, promoted the next. Back then, Eddie McCready, John Neal, they installed this never say die attitude. And I was proud of those teams. But then when you spent all them millions under Abramovich and billions under these clowns, why should you expect second best? If I'd just gone out and bought a Ferrari for £500,000, I'd expect it to be top notch from performance. If I then went and spent the same money on a Reliant Robin, which is basically what Clear Lake have done, would I really expect that Reliant Robin to give me the same results as the Ferrari? Because this ownership does. And the people supporting them apparently think that's possible. Oh, but the sporting directors brought in Cole Palmer. Yeah, he was their third choice. And identified as a young player who could be sold for an absolute fortune in the future. It don't wash with me, I'm sorry. It just does not wash. So yeah, I couldn't do a vlog because every single player on that pitch was worth a maximum of 3. And I couldn't be bothered with arguing with people. And people that are criticising fans for leaving early, why? Well, you tell us why. Because it's not proper Chelsea. No, I'll tell you what's not proper Chelsea. That team, that manager, those sporting directors, those owners who don't care about the fans. I think we're all pretty well agreed on that. When you've got a club director with his own ticket website, basically touting, and you've got club members who can't get a ticket, that tells you all about Clear Lake. Absolute criminals. Corporate criminals. I just want them out. I don't care what flack I get. You're all entitled to your opinions. I want them out. I want those sporting directors out of my club. I want us to bring in experienced players. I don't care if you're not paying millions and millions. There was a guy at the back at Brighton who sports Chelsea. I can't remember his name now. Played for England, centre back. I'd have bought him a couple of years ago. Not the best footballer in the world, don't get me wrong, not claiming he is. You know, he's no Ricardo Carvalho, but the attitude's there. He gives 110%, and I know it's going back to Brighton. I'm not happy about that myself. But that's the sort of player that I'm talking about. You know, we brought Thiago Silva in, didn't we? For a year, and look what a servant he was. That type of player doesn't have to cost you millions and millions. And the whole team benefits. This buying youngsters and oh yeah, you've got no patience. It'll be all right in 5 years' time. Why should we have patience? The building blocks were there. They sacked Tuchel. I'll be honest, I'm one of them that wasn't particularly happy with the way Tuchel was playing. But give the bloke a couple of transfer windows to establish his style of play. You know, he had a track record. I hated it when Pochettino managed us, but he had a track record. He'd won the French league. He'd gone to a Champions League final. I know he had a cracking side. Even Spurs, we see now that Pochettino overachieved. But I didn't like him as manager. He was an ex-Spurs manager. But he was growing on me, because at the end of the day, I would have Hannibal Lecter managing Chelsea Football Club if he was successful. And then Maresca, another one, hated his football. But you know what? He could match up against the top teams. We wouldn't have lost 8-2. We wouldn't have lost 8-2 against PSG. That is a fact. I know I can't say definitively that would have, but I've got a good idea. He could see the faults in sides. And Rosenior, he is David Brent from The Office. Oh yeah, they were in a huddle because they were respecting the ball. Well, does everyone going to do that? Are you going to get a load of builders around the scaffolding in the morning in a huddle, respecting the scaffolding, respecting the bricks? Oh, there they are, all before they start work, all round. You know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, we know sport's about teamwork, but so's working in McDonald's. There they all are around the fryer. Yeah, we're respecting the deep pan fryer. Oh my God. Well, it wasn't my decision. It was the players. Oh yeah, it's important that you don't let them score, because if you don't let them score, you're not going to lose. Yeah, I'll take responsibility for that. Yeah, you will, because that's down to you. The other night, that team, you're not telling me that they were motivated. You're not telling me that. Would you imagine Ferguson? Can you imagine Ferguson or Mourinho sending a team out with that attitude? Anyway, that's why I didn't do a vlog. I'm 21 minutes in now. Once it's edited, probably about 15 minutes of me just... Unless there's a real change of ethos, unless those people walking out actually showed the owners anything, which I don't think it will, because they'll just say, oh great, we can charge even more to a load of Japanese tourists, and that'll be prawn sandwiches at 20 quid a pop. So let's get rid of this lot. There'll be no atmosphere in the ground. They'll start playing crowd noises soon, because everyone's deflated. Even those that have seen it all, done it all, been going for years, people of my age who remember the bad times, this is as bad as it gets. I'm sorry. My opinion, which I'm entitled to, and I know I'm going to get slaughtered, but that's the way I see it. Okay, sorry to be so down about it. That's why I couldn't do a vlog anyway. What was the point? No effort, no setup, no tactical nous to change things, poor substitutions, and yes, there were injuries, there were, to lose Reece James and Malo Gusto, that's bad luck. And I don't expect miracles from a manager under those circumstances. But I expect a fired up team. Enzo Fernandez, I don't know if I'll be here next year. I don't know if Cole Palmer will be there next year, to be honest. I don't think he's had a bad season, I know that, but he's a quality footballer. I tell you, they're lucky to get Reece James to sign up to 6 years. If I was a footballer, a professional footballer, and not a Chelsea fan, we just say a professional footballer, I'd be going. And you got David Brent there, giving out notes in the 85th minute. I'd love to see the note after the game. You couldn't pop down to the corner shop and get me grand 20 fags, could you? When the first goal went in, he was scribbling a note. Yeah, well, what did that say? Oh, that Mamadou Sarr can't trap a ball, can he? If that ball's coming out the air from you, to you, and you've got a player on you, kick it in the stand. There you go. A bit of park football mentality. I don't know. I honestly don't know. No one backing up behind. We just open to that big long ball, hoping for one of our defenders to make a mistake, which normally happens, and you're through on goal. It's No. Right, I'm going. I'm going. I keep thinking of things that that Finklestein last week talking to a Chelsea fan channel. One of the directors. Oh, the manager's not important. The manager's not important. Well, give me the job then. The manager's not important. Do you remember when we had Ranieri? He had virtually, he had a cracking side there. Couldn't win the league, couldn't win anything. Got done by Monaco, didn't we, in that Champions League? I've never forgiven him for that. Absolute raving loony. The tinker man, the mental man. And then Mourinho come in, and that's a difference. Right, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Don't blame me if you don't. And speak to you soon after Everton. Happy days. Up to Chelsea.
I walked the bridge in 72, where legends played in royal blue. Osgood's grace, Bonetti's hands. We stood and roared from the old shed stand. Hudson danced and Hutch would fight.